call to order the Lost Pines Groundwater Conservation District Board meeting of Wednesday, August the 18th, 2021 at 6:10 p.m. at the Bastrop Convention and Exhibit Center, 1408 Chestnut Street, Bastrop, Texas, 78602. We appreciate from the board you taking time to come here tonight and to participate in this meeting. It's going to be open for quite a lot of public comment. And so we're all very busy, but I commend you for taking time out to come to the meeting and express your comments. Item number 3, this meeting, and we're going to be juggling here just a little bit as we go through the meeting, but this is going to be both a virtual and an in-person comments. So that means we'll be taking comments from people who are calling in from away from here, but would like their comments to be taken into account. You are limited to 3 minutes. And also, let's always be respectful of each other. We all have our comments, and let's listen to everybody so that we can get a good understanding of how everyone feels and not override someone. As we drop down, now we have listed non-agenda items for public comments. That means you can speak on anything that is not on tonight's agenda. But as the board attorney told me as we were getting ready, if you want your comments to be for the record for the DFCs, which is the next item, you need to hold off until I call up for the public hearing on the DFCs. And there are forms out there. Many of you have already filled them out. But the important thing is that if you make comments regarding the desired future conditions under public comments, it's just public comments and will not be for the record, but they will be for the record when we move into the public hearing section and you have requested to address the board. With anything else you want to say on that?
I'll just add that this item is not posted for deliberation, consideration, or action by the board. Tonight is just the public hearing for Chapter 36 of the Water Code, and the board will hear comments. The board will actually take action on the proposed DFCs after they come back from GMA 12, and GMA 12 is supposed to adopt comments by January 5th, 2022.
Okay.
Natasha, y'all please talk into the mic, please.
Okay, sure.
Like if you call for anybody that wants to comment virtually to put it in the chat for us. So we can track that.
Yes, if you would like, I think just ditto what Jim just said. If you want to address the board virtually, please put it in the chat notice so that we can pick it up and make sure that you get your opportunity to do that virtually. Now, I do have a couple of people who have signed up for the non-agenda items. The first one is Mr. Hugh Brown. Hugh?
Mike, a point of order. Would our board members going to be allowed to make comments or discuss public comments with the folks who make them, as you know, after they make them?
In my experience, as long as it's involving the process or what the subject is, which we are, which we'll be talking about the DFCs, we can make some inquiries or questions if we have them, but we can't get off of into another area. That has to be strictly addressed in that manner.
I understand. Thank you.
Okay? So does that give you what you need?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. Hugh? I don't think so. I don't.
Okay, is that better? Yeah, get the mask. Okay, that's better. Okay, I just wanted to talk about what I think should be in a permit. First, of course, we need to have no sort of no fault mitigation. If that big pumper is messing up my well, that they have to give me full mitigation without my having to take them to court or anything. All right, but my main point is that I think we need to not be water mining. So we have, say, approximately maybe 15,000 acre feet of recharge per year in the district. And I would say somebody comes with a certain amount of area of water rights. So we'll say, if we keep the numbers easy, well, if we assume the district is 1,000 square miles and they've got 1 square mile of water rights, they can have 1/1,000th of that 15,000 acre feet per year. Now, if they want more water, there are 2 things I would let them do. One of them is go get more water rights. The other one would be they, on their nickel, go do projects in the recharge area of the aquifers that increase the recharge the amount they want. In other words, if they want another 5,000 acre feet of water a year, let them on their nickel go do things that increase the recharge into the aquifer by 5,000 acre feet a year. Let them go get the water they want through increased recharge. I'd like to see us do that because water mining only ends badly. Thank you.
Thank you, Hugh. Okay. Mr. Don Hardy.
I've just got a couple of things to say. I hope I'm not way off base here, but I think part of your responsibility as a water conservation district is consider the needs of those who want our water and balance the need against the impact of those who have our water. And if that's the case, I'm here as a lifelong San Antonian, and I'm here to tell you that San Antonio Water Systems does not need this water. Furthermore, they won't need this water for at least another 15 years. And they say that themselves in their own literature. In San Antonio, until recently, we got all of our water from the Edwards Aquifer. I work for Riley Construction and helped build one of the many recharge dams on the north side of San Antonio. The recharge dams block rainfall runoff and ensure that the Edwards fills much, much more efficiently than it did before. Because of those dams, the Edwards is nothing like it was back during the drought of the 1950s. But even with this improved Edwards Aquifer, today only 60% of San Antonio's water comes from the Edwards. 40% comes from recycling, desalinization, and other aquifers. Vista Ridge is not yet needed, and frankly, it may never be needed. And I hope you'll consider that as you balance need versus impact. Just a few years ago, people in the Lost Pines were assured that our aquifer recharge was so great that these massive wells would have no impact. But the results are proving otherwise. Well levels are plummeting and natural springs, creeks, and streams across the area or threatened. Permits for large-scale pumping should only be afforded if the extraction won't exceed our recharge. If the pumping lowers our aquifer levels, I don't think the permit should be issued. I hope you would think that way. And I hope you're weighing this when you consider the DFC. Many of the current impacts on our well springs were not anticipated by y'all or anyone else. So at least until we know how badly current drawdowns will affect this area, a moratorium or a freeze on all new permits would be the wisest course. That's all I've got, but I want to add one more thing. To you people who are serving on the board, thank you. I've served on boards. I would not serve on this one because I know you're hated by both sides, it seems like. So thank you for your service to our community and to the state.
Thank you, sir. That is all the sheets that I have received to address us for non-agenda items. Is there anyone present or virtual that would like to address under the non-agenda item? Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay. Then I am going to move down to item number 4 on the agenda this evening. This is to conduct a public hearing to receive public comments on the proposed desired future conditions for the area aquifers that were recently adopted by Groundwater Management Area 12, GMA 12, under Texas Water Code 36.108. GMA 12 includes the Groundwater Conservation District as follows: Brazos Valley Groundwater Conservation District, Fayette County Groundwater Conservation District, Lost Pines Groundwater Conservation District, Mid-East Texas Groundwater Conservation District, and Post Oak Savannah Groundwater Conservation District. I, again, was handed, several people in advance did sign to speak to the board on this. As with our normal public hearings, your comments are held to 3 minutes unless you have given your time or someone has given you additional time.
And Mike, sorry to interrupt, but I just want to acknowledge we have 3 directors on Zoom.
Yes, we do.
And if you want to designate the quorum or redesignate it.
Okay,
Okay.
we do
Okay.
have a quorum present, yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay. For the first person, Miss Linda Curtis.
Thank you. I just want to say, I don't hate any of you. Some of you I actually really love. But anyway, my name is Linda Curtis. I'm founder of the All Volunteer, a founder of the All Volunteer Nonpartisan League of Independent Voters. One of the 9 required criteria for you to establish the desired future conditions, my understanding is, quote, socioeconomic impacts reasonably expected to occur. I hope you will go back to the drawing board before adopting the DFCs in order to consider the socioeconomic impacts of subsidizing growth by moving water for real estate development. Hyper in-migration growth along the I-35 corridor is bringing big city problems like intransigent poverty, crime, and homelessness. Many people are feeling this, are fleeing, and many people are fleeing, they're feeling it and they're fleeing to the outer counties, including Bastrop and Lee, and we all know this. The question is, what can we do about it now that the barn door has been wide open for so long? No one is going to close it now. Some of you board members may know that I grew up in Miami, Florida, where we paved over Paradise and put up a parking lot. And I got out of there when I was 18 and never looked back. I moved to Austin years later in 1992, and I've been here in Bastrop County since 2002. In 2007, I started working with a dear friend of mine in Austin, a visionary developer, Brian Rogers. Brian spent nearly a decade trying to reason with Austin's political and real estate leaders to implement measures to make growth pay for itself. His work was highly respected, but largely rejected for fear that it might slow growth even just a tad. As he prepared for his mayoral race, Steve Adler called on Brian Rogers to advise him on how to manage growth. Not long after Adler's election, it became clear who his real mentor was, Kirk Watson, the regional leader for those development interests, water marketers, and LCRA leadership working together to press pedal to the metal to subsidize growth. Democrats Watson, Adler, and Mark Rose, with their Republican cohort Joe Beal, have wreaked havoc. They have employed complicated fee waivers, foolish subsidies for projects like the Domain Luxury Shopping Mall, and free public land for a privately owned soccer stadium we call the Austin Sucker Stadium. And they've all worked water deals to the great detriment of their constituents or ratepayers here in Lost Pines. Board members, the bottom line is that our water district should not be encouraging the profiteering yahoos up and down the I-35 corridor by participating in these reckless schemes with our most precious resource and the most precious resource on planet Earth. Besides this, board members, you really don't have a choice now. Mother Nature is very beautiful and she can be very darn ugly,
Linda,
as we are
Linda,
witnessing
10 seconds.
out west with mismanagement of water for over the last 100 years. So Mother Nature will take care of things and do something herself about the deeply mistaken Vista Ridge pipeline, the essence of the California water model that has them in such a horrible mess now. Don't press your or our luck. Thank you for your time and your service.
Okay. This one will be Zoom. Miss Judith McGarry.
Thank you. My name is Judith McGarry. I live in Milam County, and I very much appreciate the chance to provide comments to the board tonight. And I appreciate how much time and energy all of you have put into this. I submitted some written comments that went to the question about the threat of a takings claim if this board does not accept the current proposed DFCs. And I wanted to follow up just a little bit on that. As I wrote in the letter, the large commercial pumpers don't really have a good claim for takings right now. All of them, I focused on Vista Ridge, but this is true of all of these commercial permit holders, got their permits knowing what the DFCs were, knowing that if the DFCs were close to being exceeded or exceeded, that there would have to be cutbacks and that they would be subject to those cutbacks. So none of them, frankly, have a good takings claim. The takings claim would occur if the district somehow changed things up to make it more restrictive than what had been the reasonable understanding when the permits were given. But this leads to another point, which I recognized as I was reading Vista Ridge's latest letter to the districts, talking about like, but we've paid all this money and you've known about this all this time, which is this. This is a critical moment for the districts to stay firm on the DFCs. If you adopt the proposed DFCs, if at this moment you take the position that the GMA will change the DFCs to allow any any holder to continue pumping without being ever restricted, it's going to be very difficult for you to come back from that decision. Because if you were to adopt these proposed DFCs and say the factor we look at is the permit holders and we're going to make sure they can keep pumping, then in 5 years, if you were then to recognize and say, man, we made a big mistake, we need to roll this back, we need to have stricter DFCs, and we're going to do cutbacks to make that happen, then they probably would have, certainly they'd have a stronger takings claim. I can't judge what the final outcome would be. So here's the thing. If you have any doubt that you are taking the correct approach right now, if you have any uncertainty as to whether the approach in these proposed DFCs is the correct one, please stop, take the time to go back, consider all of the factors, because once you've made this decision, you could put yourself in a position that you're going to find it very hard to ever correct a mistake that's made now. It is worth taking the time to go back, analyze all of the factors that the legislature has directed you to, and come out with DFCs that address all of them and not just what the commercial permit holders want to have happen. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate the opportunity to comment.
Thank you. I should have mentioned this, Phil. If you ask a question of someone, that does not cut into their 3 minutes of addressing the board. So if a board member asks a question of their comments or during the course of their comments, I will not count that against their 3-minute time limit.
Thank you, Mike. I understand. The folks who have spoken so far have been so articulate that I have no questions.
Okay. Oh, and of course, we will take questions after the comment, after the presentation as well. The next person, Mr. Steve Chamberlain.
Good evening, board members. For the record, I am Steve Chamberlain, Chair of the Bastrop County Democrat Party, and I am here tonight in opposition of the proposed DFCs and request that you reject them. Because the board members may be Republican, Democrat, or Independent, I want you to know that I want to talk with you, I want to discuss with you, and I will with anyone who has a opinion regardless of political sides on something like the water. The water issue is one of these that is non-political. Water does not vote. Under the current proposed DFCs for the next 50 years, it appears to me that we will be lucky to see them last 50 months. As you well know, California and the western states are on fire, literally. And Texas falls in the same drought map. We must allow our aquifers to recharge. I find it to be a sick joke that one of the permit holders in the Lost Pine District of mega permits for 46,000 acre feet of groundwater calls itself recharge. They know darn well these aquifers recharge slowly in much lower amounts than our projected demands. They know we are already mining these aquifers, yet without a customer, they continue to push for permissive permit deals. I implore you to move away from what is becoming known as quote unquote managed depletion. You can do this now by refusing to adopt the proposed DFCs. Groundwater districts and the GMAs are supposed to consider 9 areas of concerns when developing the DFCs. Notably is number 6, dealing with socioeconomic impacts. I live on the side of Bastrop County that's seeing unprecedented numbers of trailer parks. I am not against trailers. They are homes for people. What I am against is seeing mass in-migration of lower-income people while we're shipping water out. Then there's number 7, the impact on the interests and rights in private ownership or private property. Texas has 142 million acres of working land owned by over 250,000 private landowners. The rights of marketers sucking off the groundwater for these profits pales in comparison to the rights of these landowners. In addition, the outdated 1917 policy of right to capture is ridiculous. That is like saying, if you sneak in my back door of my garage and drive my car out, then it's yours. That's ridiculous. Again, I respectfully ask you to do the right thing and reject the proposed DFCs. Thank you for your time and service.
Thank you, sir. Any- Miss Nancy McKee. Okay. Miss McKee's husband signed up as well, but he is giving her his 3 minutes, so she has 6 minutes.
Thank you very much and good evening. My name is Nancy McKee. I live in Lee County under the jurisdiction of Lost Pines Conservation Groundwater District.
Ms. McKee, could you get closer to the mic, please?
Okay, better. Thank you for allowing me to provide my comments and concerns regarding the upcoming vote on the desired future conditions. I will be reading from my letter dated August 9th to Lost Pines, but I felt this issue so vital that I should also speak publicly. On July 21st, the Lost Pines Board conducted a DFC workshop. They very graciously opened it to the public. In a way, this was a bad thing because it exposed to us landowners the absurd process for finalizing a 5-year plan. First, I believe practically everyone is now very well aware of the deleterious impact Vista Ridge has and is having on Burleson and Lee County's wells since their inception of pumping April 2020. Actual pumpage, actual water levels, reports received as to the actual current condition of water levels and water wells in various areas is not included in formulating the proposed DFCs. Considerations are calculated based on hydrologist reports, science, which is not proven and therefore is theory, and proposed recharging of the aquifer as predicted from nature and still is proposed. Who can predict the future water conditions, drought, years of plentiful rain, etc. I realized prior to this, there really was no actual major pumpage and therefore no real stats. However, this past year, we have experienced the ravages of major drawdowns in our county, and those drawdowns were conducted in a neighboring district, and the losses are from one permit, San Antonio. Second, DFCs are calculated on regions, which spread out water usage and do not define a particular problem area, that is, those experiencing major water losses. So the information is flawed. A proposed DFC zone was recommended that would correct this issue, but is not included in the DFC you have been provided for to vote. As an example, as of June 2021, the water level in my well has dropped some 63 feet. However, in other areas of my region, there has been no lowering of water levels. A DFZ zone would capture this information in certain areas, and I would think allow better forecast of water wells and aquifer levels. In other words, specific details of the impact major pumping has caused, the areas affected, and the pattern of losses for the future. Proposed recharging of the aquifer is just what it says, proposed, and based on computer modules by former DFCs. This is not a true reflection of the rate of aquifers are recharging. It bears no proof and no guarantee our aquifer will be recharged, at least not in my lifetime. So it would seem to me that the way of calculating recharge isn't working. Nowhere do I see addressed how the lowering of aquifers is going to affect our rivers and streams. This has already been addressed. When the aquifers lower at such drastic rates, nature does provide that aquifers draw from rivers nearby. One doesn't have to think too long to have a clear vision of what will eventually happen to our great Colorado River. And I refer to a letter Steve Box sent to the board, the GMA boards, on July 22nd, page 3. And he described what has now and is now happening to the Colorado River. This consideration is an absolute when developing a 5-year plan. We do not have the luxury of doing business as usual. I believe we've all heard the definition of insanity, but I think it bears repeating. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. The DFCs are screaming for a correct and true calculation. In determining all of the above, I have to ask, how can there be a legitimate plan for 5 years if no one is willing to consider reality? Quote, for which one of you, when he wants to build a tower, does not first sit down and calculate the cost to see if he has enough to complete it, end quote. And that's from Luke 14:28. So I ask each one of you, can you honestly say you've calculated the cost without benefit of real-time figures? Or are you content to trust in theories and later say, oopsie, I didn't see that one coming? While it has been said the DFC is but a planning tool, there is no way you can rely on any kind of planning when it is based on theories, proposals, or a computer spreadsheet. Our water is too precious, too necessary to sustain life, and too vulnerable to withstand the ravaging of our aquifers because board members choose to ignore the true information in calculating a 5-year plan. To ignore the information is to intentionally remain in darkness on the issues. The Lost Pines GCD stated responsibilities on your homepage says, quote, their charge is to determine how best to protect the underwater of the underground aquifer from overpumping so that there will be enough water for everyone now and in the future, end quote. So let me ask you a question in light of all this. What is the legacy to which your board wants to be known? I would hope the members would be steadfast to uphold their responsibility statement. I would hope the members would desire actually demand all truth when planning something so very critical. You as a groundwater district board have been given the authority to say this DFC is not right. I therefore respectfully request, and quite honestly, I expect you to vote against the DFCs as proposed and return them to the GMA for a complete revision, one that includes reality stats. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up here is Hugh Brown.
Thank you. I would like to know, given,
Hugh, excuse me, would you move closer to the mic, please?
yeah, sure. Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. I get the mask down too. That'll help. Okay. I see here on your handout, you've got various average drawdowns. I would like to know, given that you've got data on an awful lot of wells about how deep they are and how far down the water level is in them already, have you gone through every one of those wells and figured out how many of those wells are going to be dry or how much they will be degraded if these proposed drawdowns occur? Now, I saw out in the lobby, you've got there's some maps out there showing drawdown curves. Has anyone, I just want to know, has anyone gone through that and compared against the actual wells and figured out well by well how much damage given is our best estimate on what will happen? And until we do that, we certainly don't want to go with these numbers on the desired future conditions. And I would also say that I'm very much against water mining. We should not be pumping more than the recharges. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And President Talbot, I just want to clarify that the district has not posted any graphs or maps outside the convention center room.
Okay.
Thank you.
Michelle Anderson. Is she on? Okay. There's her number.
I believe. She she may be submitting written comments instead if she's not going to. We can double back on it.
Okay, I'll just pull that and ask it again at the end. Let's see if she, okay. Mr. Ernest Bogart, Ernie?
My name is Ernie Bogart. I'm an attorney. I'm not here to threaten to sue anybody. I'm retired. I helped charter the Aqua Water Defense Fund, and I'm on the board and I'm the chairman right now, but I'm not here to speak on behalf of the board. I don't own a well. I have 26 acres in the country. My water is supplied by Aqua Water. I'm opposed to the proposed can't think of the name of it. Proposed
DSCs.
the PFCs, the PFCs. For this reason, they're actually going to increase the availability of pumpage from this aquifer, and we're already in a losing phase. If you look at the publications that are online, we're pumping more water out than we're putting in, and we're already depleting or mining the aquifer. And this would just make it worse. And I'm hoping that we can come up with a plan that would at first stabilize that aquifer so that there'll be something here for the future, our children and grandchildren, and then perhaps recharge it as we get further down the line and get more sophisticated in our water techniques. I think that all of the speakers have had very good points. And as they say, once the cat's out of the bag, the cat's gone. And I think that we need to not approve these. We need to work to get others not to approve them, and then get together and have a better set of DFCs presented for approval. I appreciate very much, by the way, the service you guys are rendering for us on the board. I can't imagine a more thankless task, but I thank you, and I'll support whatever thoughtful decision you make. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Andrew Weir.
Get this, I'm going to share a little video with you. And so I want to set that up. Let's see. Okay. Good evening, President Talbert, board members. My name is Andy Weir. I'm a resident of Bastrop County. I have a domestic water well in the Simsboro formation of the Carrizo-Wilcox Aquifer. And I'm a member of the board of directors for the Simsboro Aquifer Water Defense Fund, SAWDEF, and I'm here tonight to ask the board to reject the proposed desired future condition. SAWDEF works to educate and organize landowners in the defense of their groundwater rights. And we do that in Milam, Burleson, Lee, and Bastrop County. And I have a little 30-second video here that I hope will help you to empathize with landowners and help you better understand the immense and thankless role that you play as a Lost Pounds Groundwater Conservation District.
Oh, I hear water is great here. Mind if I join you? Ah.
you all, as the board for the Lost Pounds Groundwater Conservation District, you are all that stands between big straws and landowners in Lee and Bastrop County. The Texas legislature has given you the duty to balance the production of groundwater for the state's use on the one side, and on the other, the health of the aquifer, the health of surface waters, and the rights of landowners. And so you have a very difficult balancing act. The proposed desired future conditions that are before you do not do that. They were based on a calculation that took all the permits that are on the books, they put them into the groundwater availability model, the GAM, and ran those numbers. And those were the drawdown numbers that you have before you. No one subtracted any pumping for landowner rights. No one subtracted any pumping for socioeconomic impacts. Nobody subtracted any pumping to save the Colorado River from going into a negative stream. Nobody subtracted pumping to conserve water, groundwater in the ground. It was a formula. And at the GMA 12
Your
meeting.
time is 10 seconds. left.
Thank you. So I wish that you, let me just say this, it's feasible to reject these DFCs and go back to the drawing board. You got a document today from SAWDEF and Environmental Stewardship that gives GMA 12 a head start in coming up with feasible DFCs. Thank you.
Andy, I have a question of you, if you don't mind. Of course, it's optional whether you answer it or not, as it is with everyone. If we reconsider the DFCs, what other elements do you think have been underemphasized and that need to be emphasized of the all of the considerations that we need to take into account?
So as SAWDEF has presented, we gave you an example of looking at the impacts in the Carrizo aquifer. So we gave you a methodology and a way to do that. And we asked back in earlier this year in the spring, we asked the board to direct staff to use that same methodology in the other formations, as Mr. Brown talked about. We identified that 70% of the wells in the Carrizo would need to be mitigated. That came to be true. You established a mitigation fund for $500,000. A very conservative but cursory review by myself is there's another 600 wells in the other formations that will be impacted by these DFCs. And if you use the same ratio of mitigation, you're looking at another $2 million to mitigate those wells. So those are some of the impacts. What I asked, again, through the board was to talk to the agricultural extension agent. What's going to be the impact when people's tanks run dry because their livestock well is not pumping? And so they're going to reduce their herds. And so there's going to be a loss of economic activity in Lee and Bastrop counties. There's some people that use it for irrigation, to grow hay. So you're going to have a loss in that. Those things haven't been ferreted out. The other one is what environmental stewardship has provided, which is looking at the impacts on the river. And the latest study that was delivered today, and you all may not have seen it yet, from environmental stewardship and SAWDEF, we have employed George Rice, the hydrologist, to provide a baseline. I guess look at it this way, there's two bookends. There's the one that has all the permits that are on the books, and the one that we've run, which says this is the conservative, this is how we can save the river, keep it from turning into a losing stream, and how we can maintain adequate inflows and outflows in the aquifer. So you don't have the bookend right now. You have one extreme. We're offering you the other extreme. GMA 12 can come up with options, and then you have an informed choice. You choose how much impact, how many wells you're going to mitigate, you can choose with an informed decision. You don't have that before you tonight, is my contention. I'm sorry to ramble on.
Thank you, Andy. I do appreciate that. And I haven't seen that study, but I'm looking forward to getting a copy of it. Thank you.
We think it'll jumpstart GMA because they were going to have a small amount of time to come up with the revisions, but it will help to do that.
Good.
Thank you. Kermit Heaton.
My name is Kermit Heaton. I'm a landowner and an agricultural well owner in Bastrop County. I have provided written comments to all 5 groundwater conservation districts that are in GMA 12. If you haven't had the opportunity to read my written comments, I would ask that you try to take that opportunity. I obviously agree with all the points I made. Today, I would like to address a particular point that was just alluded to in my written comments. If you only have one tool, and that's a hammer, all your problems get treated like a nail and get hammered. Right now, the proposed DFCs give you an excellent tool if you want the big pumpers to pump lots of water out from under my land, these people's land, and thousands of other constituents in Lee and Bastrop County. What you need for your job is a set of several tools in a good toolbox. And the DFCs don't provide you with all the tools you need to handle all 9 of your responsibilities as a groundwater conservation board. I would like to thank you for your service again, because you've got a tough job and it's going to get tougher. And so I would ask that you reject the current DFCs as proposed, because you need a better set of tools to handle all 9 of your responsibilities. Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Barbara Bogart.
Good evening. I think everybody's pretty much said what I want to say. I am so thankful that you people are on this board for as long as you've been on this board. And I'm just going back to when I'm getting teary now, back over in the last time we met in the city, place with the Bears. And we were still talking about a lot of things, and things have just evolved amazingly to me that we're still going about this. And I can't imagine how many hours you have spent dealing with this. And for that, we are all very, very grateful. And Mr. Talbert, you're the most patient human being I believe I've ever seen. And I thank you for that. I want you to be my granddad in the next life. The thing I said then is what I think of now, of the people who do not check out all the desired future conditions. And praise God, you have to do this every 5 years. I don't even know where it settles down. But when you have to buy back water from the people you sold it to, is like kind of a low point for me. And that's a lot of the stories that I keep hearing, and why desired future conditions are so important to get correct. When I drive to Austin And you know, they're all coming out here because they can afford to be out here kind of, or the people in California whose lakes have all dried up because they use the model, well, they sell their water to make growth. Well, they're right here now. They're living here and they want to move to San Antonio and Elgin and further out of Austin. And it's such a, because you want to share, you want everybody to have water, but it's real important to try to figure out who gets what. And I loved Andy's thing, but what I was picturing, instead of people with us each have, because I don't really like the rule of capture. I think that's insane. That you think water is just under your property and you get it and you get to sell it, to me is an amazing construct of law. But when you have the glasses and each person's got a straw, that's what it's about. And the guy with the biggest straw. But just picture that these people are all on a table and it's got a lip around it and it's an aquifer, and maybe there's another one over here and another one over here, and you just punch holes in it. You don't really get to suck it up. That's what water does. It just moves. And if somebody gets a really big hole on the table and it shifts, it's all going to run out. I mean, nobody gets to really own water. And it all leaks together and it all has rain, and we don't have any of that anymore. So I am so glad that you have this job and not me. But I would ask you to go back over the desire, what is it, honey?
Yeah.
Desired future conditions and rework those for a modern environment. Thank you.
You bet. Okay. Allison Jones.
Mike, what was her last name, please?
Jones.
Okay.
Thank you, board members, for giving us the opportunity to express our concerns about DFCs. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate the hard work that all of you do. I know it's not easy, especially if you're juggling family and other responsibilities. I'm a fifth generation Texan. I started out in the Panhandle. So I'm a child of the Ogallala Aquifer. I moved to Austin in 1984. So I'm a child of the Edwards Aquifer. And I very happily moved to Elgin in 2017. And so now I'm part of the Lost Pines system. I feel very strongly about this issue because I think we've seen, even on the international stage, issues that arise when aquifers specifically are not protected. You may recall in 2013, there was the third largest city in Australia that absolutely ran out of water, and they were on an aquifer system. And I remember an Australian scientist was interviewed about it, and she indicated that Australia made the mistake of not preserving and recharging their aquifers. And she actually flew to California to let them know that if they don't do the same thing, they're going to be in the same boat. And they proceeded to ignore her. And so now California is devising technology to change their sewer water into drinkable water. Their Colorado River is drying up. We don't have another chance at this. Climate change is here. What's happened in the Western states, that drought boundary is going to move over us like it did in 2013. And 2013 was horrible. I will never forget the drought and fire in Bastrop. It was just like so traumatic. And I think that if we don't hold our line of defense, we will not be able to recover. Ecosystems are very delicate. They're self-contained. And if we don't give them the respect, we're not going to have drinking water and agricultural water in the future. It just boils down to that. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I hope I'm Mr. John De Gomez. Did I say that right? Did I hope I didn't destroy it too bad. Okay.
Sir, would you please spell your last name for me? I want to make sure if I talk to you, I know. I know.
Capital D-E, capital G-O-M-E-Z.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to give a personal experience. I purchased a small ranch in 2011, in August of 2011, and actually today I was able to file the release of lien. So I was going to have a 21 gun salute and a champagne fountain and dancing girls to celebrate, but I'm here. I want to tell you my experience. My ranch is west of the 77, 5 miles north of Lexington. I purchased, as I said, in 2011 during the drought. I was fortunate to be able to get some advice from a rancher who told me not to worry about corrals or pens or fences or any of that, but the most important thing to think about was water. And my ranch has the Puckett Creek running through it. And I had been told that the Puckett in recent memory had never gone dry. Although the Puckett originates on a Mr. Doug Freeman's property, I have had the great experience of my stock being able to be watered by the Puckett, notwithstanding the fact that I also have 2 wells. I have a shallow well and I have a deep well, I believe. Now, in 2012 or 2013, I decided that I was going to hook up with Lost Pines. And I met Mr. Totten. I hope I'm not telling stories out of school. And then eventually I met Mr. Andy Donnelly recently. And but starting off in 2013, 2014, and 2015, Mr. Totten came out and measured my deep well. He also measured my shallow wells. So the last time that my wells were measured before this year was in 2015. So 5 years have passed. Well, my deep well has dropped nearly 20 feet. Now, like I said, I've got the Puckett on my property. And so this concept of recharge has been floating around in my head. Well, the Puckett apparently is not recharging my deep well. I don't know what it's doing to my shallow well because Mr. Totten and Mr. Donnelly couldn't measure my well when they came out recently. However, I'm alarmed. I'm concerned about this. This DFC that is being contemplated, I have no idea what the language is, what it says, or what sort of impact it could possibly have on me. But whatever's happening for this deep well that I have to drop nearly 20 feet is of concern. Mr. Totten and Mr. Donnelly had offered to find out and do some research and find out how deep my deep well is, and then ultimately come back and measure my my shallow well.
Sir, you have about 15 seconds. I've let you run over a little bit.
Okay, well, if I haven't expressed it once before, I would like to oppose this DFC. And I appreciate all that you guys do, all you ladies and gentlemen do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Totten, I would appreciate the data if you get it on the depth of his wells to be included in our district's calculations.
If we can find it, those are wells that predate the district.
I see. Mr. DeGanis, are your wells now registered with the district? They are? Okay, thank you.
They are, yes, sir.
Hmm. Okay. Bill Rhodes.
I'm William, or Bill Rhodes. I live on 411, about halfway between US 77.
Microphone.
Closer. I live about halfway between US 77 and Yaywall Creek off 411. I sent written comments into Mr. Talbot about 3 weeks ago. I guess you received those.
Yes, I did.
My comments today are meant to supplement what I wrote then. First, let me say I'm opposed to the DFCs as written. I read into this water well issue since my wells went dry in mid-April. And you guys are tough. A lot of that stuff is really, really hard material to read. I don't know how you do it. I appreciate what you do. I'm an engineer. I believe in facts and data. And since we've got all these wells going dry, we can monitor water levels and see which way the water levels going and determine what we're going to do in the future. And then we can adopt DFCs based on the real data that we collect from these wells. That's all I've got.
Thank you, sir. Okay. I'm going to ask one more time, Michelle Anderson. Is she present either Zoom or in person? Okay. 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 Okay, is there anyone who didn't get a chance to sign a form but would like to make a comment to the board? As you're walking up, sir, just please state your name and where you live for the record, please. Just when you get to the microphone.
My name is Terry Wilson. I live on County Road 411, just down from Miss McKee. I'm trying to figure all this out. You know, this proposal says it's supposed to only, the Carrizo is going to drop another 137 foot, or that's the 50-year plan. And in a year and a half, mine has dropped 60 foot. And the last month alone was 10 foot. Sir?
I'm sorry, would you say again how far your well has dropped? I didn't get it.
60 foot in the last year and a half.
Thank you.
That is, you know, I can't get rural water in, but there's no rural water line. I'm depending on this well. I'm already, Mr. Totten come out, and it is going to have to be dropped. Of course, y'all have mitigation for that, and I appreciate that, but I want to put it in like a medical situation here. Right now, my patient is bleeding profusely. It's doesn't have long to live. This proposal here, all it's going to do is slow down the bleeding. My patient's still going to die. What I'm asking y'all to do is stop the bleeding. Do something better than this, please. Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. is there anyone else who would like to address the board that didn't get a chance to sign up? Yes, we'll take some questions. Go ahead. Yes, please come with the microphone. I'm sorry.
Tonight is the last opportunity for people to comment about the DFCs.
Right.
And I don't know if you're able to do this, and if this might be an unreasonable request, but I have been getting some pushback from some people who are having trouble getting on Zoom. Excuse me. Is there any way you can allow for comments to be emailed in tomorrow? Will you-
Sure.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
If anybody wants to follow up based upon what you've heard here tonight with comments to the board, you're more than welcome to do that.
Mike, I would ask if the board is going to extend, so the statutory deadline is the end of the public comment period, which is typically the hearing. So I would ask the board to approve extending that deadline.
I would think
So-
at least a week with a week.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not posted to actually take that action to do that. Yeah, I am not going to recommend that we
Okay.
do that.
So tonight is it as far as your opportunity to provide comments to the board.
This hearing was posted
midnight.
properly under the Open Meetings Act with ample notice.
Pardon? The public hearings, right?
Well, the comments can be submitted and then we'll review them for timeliness.
Okay. All right, I'm just going to ask one more time. Does anyone else wish to address the board regarding this item of the DFCs? If not, I'm going to entertain a motion to close the public hearing. I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing regarding the proposed desired future conditions for area aquifers for groundwater management area 12. Any questions from the board? All those in favor? Opposed?
Hi.
Okay, we have a majority. So the public hearing is closed. I will move to item number 5 of the agenda. Discussion and consideration of an agenda calendar of events. It's a standard item there. Is there anything coming up, Jim, that you want to apprise the board of, or anything regarding the next process with the DFCs?
Not at this point.
Okay.
Not at this point, sir, but I will say that we will compile all the written comments that have been received to date and get those distributed to the board for review. We've got a pretty good stack. We just wanted to send them out as one full packet rather than 100 small emails.
Okay. Thank you. That being said, anything else from the board on this item? Then the meeting will be adjourned at 7:18 p.m.